So today, we're going to dive into this really powerful, almost paradoxical idea that the biggest changes in your life don't actually come from these huge, heroic efforts. Nope, they come from the quiet, compounding effect of habits that are so small you can barely even see them.
Let me ask you something. It's an old puzzle, one that's fascinated people for centuries. Can a single coin make a person rich? I mean, think about it. You've got a pile of coins, not a fortune, just a pile. If you add one more coin, are you rich now? What about another? Is there really one single coin that flips that switch?
All right, so what does that have to do with us? Let's bring that same idea into our own lives. Can one tiny change, like meditating for just a minute or reading a single page of a book, actually transform your life? It feels like nothing, right? Insignificant. But what happens when that single page becomes something you do every single day?
You know, this puzzle actually has a name. It's called the Sohried's paradox, or sometimes the one-coin paradox. And it's way more than just a little brain teaser. It's a perfect way to understand how these tiny, almost unnoticeable actions can build up into something absolutely massive.
So what the paradox is really showing us is this fundamental truth. Transformation is almost never about one single dramatic event. It's all about the relentless, day-in, day-out accumulation of small efforts. See, the power isn't in any one coin, but in the process of just adding one more.
And that right there, that's the absolute heart of Atomic Habits. No single workout makes you fit. No single page makes you a genius. But eventually you hit a point where you look back and you have to admit it. Your entire life was transformed by the simple act of repeating that one small change.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. If these tiny changes are so powerful, why does it so often feel like they're doing, well, nothing? The answer to that lies in a concept that we call the tipping point. I mean, in the beginning, right? Your efforts feel like a single drop in a vast ocean. That 1 minute of meditation doesn't suddenly bring you inner peace. That one healthy meal doesn't change the scale. It's so easy to look at that lack of immediate results and just think, what's even the point?
And the reason it feels so useless at first is because you're pushing against what James Clear calls the weight of the system. Just think of that as the incredible inertia of your existing life, your old habits. One tiny new habit can't possibly overcome that huge tidal wave of your old routines, at least not at first.
Here's another way to picture it. Imagine your life as a giant, old-school scale, perfectly balanced between your old habits and your new ones. Every time you do a good habit, you're adding just one tiny grain of sand to the positive side. It's so small the scale doesn't even move. But quietly, invisibly, that sand is piling up.
And this 1%, that's the secret sauce. Real, lasting change isn't about some heroic one-time effort. It's about the relentless pursuit of 1% improvements. It's just about finding that next little grain of sand to add to the scale, day after day.
And then, one day, almost out of nowhere, something amazing happens. You add just one more grain of sand, and the whole scale tips. Suddenly, the momentum has shifted. The progress that used to feel like this impossible uphill battle now feels easy. The system is finally working for you, not against you.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we actually make this tipping point happen? Well, it all starts with a huge mental shift. You have to stop focusing on your goals and start obsessing over your systems.
Listen, if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this quote. If you've ever had trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. It's not a lack of willpower. The problem is your system. It was never about you being broken. It was about the process you were using. Let me put it this way. A goal is just the finish line, right? Like running a marathon. But the system is your daily training schedule. And here's the real kicker. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. The thing that actually makes the difference is the system they commit to every day.
All right, so what does a winning system even look like? It actually boils down to 4 super simple but really profound laws for building better habits.
Okay, this table right here, this is basically the entire playbook. To build a good habit, you just have to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. So if you want to read more, you put a book on your pillow. That makes it obvious. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. You see? You're not relying on sheer willpower. You're just designing your environment so the good habits are the easiest choice.
And you gotta remember, this is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's a loop, right? An endless process of improvement. You apply these 4 laws, you find that next 1% tweak, and then you just repeat.
you're constantly refining and upgrading your own personal system. And when you really commit to this cycle, this endless loop of tiny improvements, you start to tap into one of the most powerful forces in the entire universe, and that is compounding.
And really, it all comes down to this beautiful, simple truth. The secret to getting incredible results that actually last isn't some complicated life hack. It's just not stopping. It's the relentless commitment to those tiny little improvements that over time builds a masterpiece.
Just think about what becomes possible when you simply don't stop. The expertise you can gain if you don't stop learning. The strength you can build if you don't stop training. The relationships you can forge if you don't stop caring. The incredible life you can build if you just don't stop.
Because this is the whole game right here. Your small habits, they don't just add up one by one, they compound. This isn't simple addition, it's exponential growth. Every good habit builds on the one before it, multiplying your results over time. And that is the incredible power of Atomic Habits.
So I want to leave you with this one question. Forget about overhauling your entire life tomorrow. Just what is your next 1% improvement? What's that one tiny thing you can do today?